What's up? Hey, hello, everyone. Wow. So today we are back going to be talking about Survivor season 45. We are talking about episode 4, the first tribe swap in the new era. So my name is Rachel.
I'm Alyssa, and this episode solidifies that the original Lulu tribe is just the Lulu losers, I feel like.
They suck so bad because, the first boot was a quit. Second one, Brandon, even though he's great on social media, can't do ladders. Third boot, Sabaya, voted out with an idol. And then we have a fourth boot here, another quit.
Yeah, I feel like the remaining two Lulu members, Caleb and Emily, they must also be cursed. So I'm not expecting them to do very well.
Like we start off the episode, Caleb says Emily is the only one I trust thus far because last week we saw Sabaya and Sean turn on Caleb. So I'm like, okay, I hope we can see this Emily Caleb duo. Hopefully they can both make it past this tribe swap and make it to a merge, which I feel like now that the original Lulu are only down to 2 members, I think it's very possible because they're not that threatening as a twosome. Basically, like not yeah, they Matt Sing themselves by having a tribe of people that just suck.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting because I feel like Caleb taught Emily a lot in the short time that they were aligned with each other, but I'm not sure even if they both do make it to the merge that they even connect back up. Because they were kind of together out of necessity and not really being an alliance, it feels like. So
That's true. Hopefully they can forge some bonds, and I think like they could come back together, sort of maybe even secret alliance, because Emily on the new tribe was saying, oh, I was on the outs, I was on the bottom, I was so surprised I haven't been voted out yet. They could sort of downplay their relationship to be less threatening going into a merge.
yeah, and I feel like in general, Emily did a really good job controlling the narrative about what happened on old Lulu, which I guess makes sense considering that she was the only Lulu member from her tribe, but
Yeah, in this like post-tribal council scene, we see Sean saying he's praying for a pre-merge swap. Which is really awkward considering how the rest of the episode went. But I thought it was interesting because we see Sean saying, oh, I hope there's a swap when Jeff has everyone on the mats for the fake challenge that was going to be run. People are thinking, oh, maybe a mix up is going to happen. But I'm like, okay, since when though is like production tipping people off? Because if you're here and you've seen the new era, there's been no tribe swap in the new era thus far. So if you're under that assumption, you're probably like, no, we're going to get to 13, 14, have a fake merge, and then have the real merge. So it seems weird that multiple people are like, yeah, today's the day we're tribe swapping.
yeah, it did feel very strange that he anticipated it, but I guess it's kind of difficult because we as the viewers already anticipated it because we saw the next time on Survivor piece. So I guess maybe they're trying to foreshadow a little before the actual swap, but I don't know.
Potentially. Hopefully they're not tipping people off because then that definitely would like change how you are playing compared to, I guess we've talked about this in the new era where people are under the assumption there is no tribe swap. So they are playing differently than when you're thinking there might be a tribe swap.
I mean, I think in general, the whole thing is that they don't want people to make assumptions about what is happening or not happening. So they're always like, "Oh, we got to keep them on their toes. This is the hardest game of Survivor ever." But so I feel like they want to kind of throw that spanner in the works so that people aren't making assumptions about how to play the game.
I agree. I think it should be like people don't know it is random and you're not going into the game like, oh, formulaically, usually tribe swap, at 15, 16, we merge at 13. So I think it is good here. Hopefully that people were surprised that there was a tribe swap since this is the first one in the new era.
Yeah, hopefully, but I guess we'll never know. Maybe there will be more post exit press where people talk about it, but yeah.
So we get to the tribe swap. We see a lot of shocked faces about Sabaya being voted out. I love watching everyone's reactions. Everyone was so shook here. I thought this was a fun scene.
I thought it was too, but then also they kind of looked shocked when like Brandon was voted out. So I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like maybe like the Brandon one is Kendra having that scene where she gets to go to the camp the first episode that was cut from the show. Maybe she was more shocked because I feel like in that one her face got a lot of screen time.
Yeah, so
But we see new red is D, Julie, Seafood, J, Maya, and Sean. So it's 4 original red and Sean. Yellow, we see Katura, Kelly, Jake, Bruce, and Caleb. So 4 original blue and then Caleb. And then for new blue, we see Kendra and Brando, who are on the same original tribe, Austin and Drew, who are same original tribe, and then Emily as like the odd person out, not same original tribe.
yeah, I thought it was interesting because only one tribe has all 3 previous tribes represented, I think is what someone said. So that's quite interesting to see how like that shook up. I feel like someone asked a question that was like, "Do you think that this was rigged?" Basically, and they were like, "No, this is just random. How cool!" And I'm like, "Was it just random?"
That's what I'm thinking. What are the chances you get 4-1, 4-1, 2-2-1? Like, okay, it makes sense, maybe Sean, Caleb, and Emily are split and it's not like 3-1 or even 2-1, but I'm like 4-4. I don't know. Not like 2-2-2-2.
Yeah, it feels kind of sus, but I guess we'll never know.
Yeah, maybe it's one of those things like with the buff bags. It's like, okay, they try to keep the genders similar. So they have one plate for men and one for women. So maybe something like that happened here. But yeah, I don't
But
know.
the
I'm
thing
like
is,
4-1 is whack.
the gender ratio was already even because they voted out 2 girls and 2 guys from original Lulu. So it's not like, oh, the reason that the gender ratio or the reason that things are skewed is because of the gender ratio. Like, right?
Like more so it's like, oh, like 5 men can't be on red. Like it has to be some kind of mix of guys and girls here.
Yeah, but I'm saying that red had 3 and 3 men and women, blue had 3 and 3 women, men and women, and then yellow had 2 and 1 men and women. So it's like it's not like one tribe was drastically different in gender ratios, and so that's why they needed to be split up in a certain way.
No, yeah, definitely. But like with the buffs, if you have them all on one plate, all 15, you could end up where all the men happen to randomly pick one color. So if you split them up by gender and you have, okay, there's 2 red buffs, like on the women's plate, there's 2 red, 2 blue, 2 yellow. So like you have to get like whatever number, even the genders out per the 3 tribes.
Yeah, I mean, that just seems kind of silly to me, but
But yeah, it does seem a little bit weird. I don't know. 4-1 is very drastic.
yeah.
But we go to the new yellow team. Bruce realizes that this is the old Tika Beach from last season. Honestly, I didn't even remember which team he was on starting last season. So I was like, why is he talking about Tika? That's like totally the wrong name here. But this was sad. He had a lot of emotions coming out. That's got to be like a hard memory to remember you were there last time and then getting removed from the game.
Yeah, I thought it was really sad. I'm glad that they acknowledged it because I feel like a lot of the whole like Bruce was on last season thing is like Katura being annoyed about it. So I like that they acknowledged it and like gave him space to be like, this was really sad and I'm glad that I'm back, but also the fact that I had to leave.
Exactly. I thought this was a good segment to remind us, like, oh, yeah, you know, it is a hard thing. And he probably has some like negative memories from that experience of being like on the show as your dream to being removed from the show for like an injury in your head, which has got to be really scary.
Yeah. So good job, Bruce.
But with New Yellow, we see Katura. She's trying to double check the journey trip that Bruce and Brandon went on based off of Caleb's recounting of Brandon's story. Bruce notices this, and I thought this was interesting because this is the first time we see Bruce say verbally that he's not seeing eye to eye with Katura. I feel like thus far into the season, it's always been Katura saying, Bruce is annoying, we're going to vote out Bruce first, but we've never really seen Bruce's point of view here. Like, does he like her? Do they have beef? Does he not like her? Is he fine with her? And it's like a one-sided feud. But here with this scene, it does seem like Bruce is wary of Katura and notices that maybe she doesn't trust him.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting because Katura was like not at all subtle about the fact that she was like, "Oh, I want to hear from you and not from Bruce." And I feel like that's the kind of thing where I'm like, "Bro, at least be kind of subtle about the fact that you know, don't believe Bruce." But it felt like not subtle at all. So
wanting to fact check, yeah.
yeah. So I also think it's interesting because I feel like Katura's only storyline this season is how much she like doesn't like Bruce. Because like she had this whole montage talking about how annoying she found Bruce. And meanwhile Bruce is like, "Oh yeah, Katura doesn't trust me. That's okay." So it was kind of funny to see the juxtaposition.
It's giving like Stephen Fishback Joe Anglim. Like her whole thing is about Bruce, a very like one-sided storyline, and then she got the lawyer information, but really we don't have much other like strategic relationship building information from her. So like we have been saying it does seem like maybe Bruce is going to win this battle and Katura is going to be the person voted out here because like Bruce, sure he played before so he has maybe more screen time there, but we're seeing more from him, I feel like strategically compared to her, where her whole story is just about Bruce.
Yeah, I feel like definitely Bruce is going to win this one just because he has more three-dimensional edit. I also feel like other people must notice at this point that Katura has like an unhealthy obsession with Bruce. So
We see Katura telling Caleb about Bruce, and this is where Caleb is like, okay, great. I'm seeing cracks now. I can work with this. It's not all lost. It's not like a 4-1, but I'm starting to see cracks here. We see Jake talking with Caleb, and they met at the Sweat versus Savvy. I'm glad that they reminded us of this because honestly, I wouldn't have even remembered this. So Jake is saying, yeah, we can be buddies now. Jake says that he's not going to be Bello strong. So that's good information to know about him. And he had this fun confessional. He's like, yeah, I'm ready to jump ship. Thank God I'm a good swimmer. And then he starts laughing for like 10 seconds. I was like, that is so me. You're laughing at your own joke. And it was like such a hearty laugh.
yeah, I thought it was so funny because he just like it was like kind of funny, but it was like ha ha funny, not like ha 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 ha. Like he just kept going. It's like good for you, I guess.
Yeah, that's why it was so funny because it shouldn't have been such a like hearty laugh, but then he made it such I thought it was so cute. I was like, yeah, dude, laugh at your own jokes. We love it.
Yeah, I mean, someone pointed out that like the fact that Jake thinks that he's so funny does call into question him thinking that Bruce is like the funniest guy ever. So, yeah.
Yo, maybe they are a match made because you're right. Katura's like, Bruce is so annoying. Jake in confessional is like, Bruce is so great. He's so funny.
Yeah. I do think that it was interesting because Caleb said something along the lines of like, "Oh, I didn't know it was that way" when he talked with Katura, and I'm interested to see which side Caleb will fall on because it kind of sounded to me like he was more interested in being on Katura's side, but I do think Bruce's side is the one that has more power. So
That's interesting. I'm seeing like Kelly and Caleb here are basically in the middle if they go to tribal between Bruce and Jake versus Katura. So I agree with you. If I were like Kelly or Caleb more in the middle here, you'd go with Bruce and Jake probably to get more power because it's a foursome, but maybe you go with Katura and then you have two people in front of you to get voted out. But from Kelly's point of view here, we learn that Bruce tells Kelly that she's his number one, which is a lot of good new info because you would probably assume maybe Bruce and Jake are number one since that's the relationship we've seen. So for Kelly, too, she might go with Bruce and Jake, and maybe Caleb gets brought in there because we also see Kelly tell Bruce, like, yeah, I'm with you as long as, I'm above Caleb in the pecking order. So it won't maybe be like 2-2 if Kelly and Caleb go with Bruce and Jake, but maybe if they vote Katurah out, Caleb could be in hot water next because we're seeing Kelly and Bruce are close.
I do think it's questionable whether or not Kelly and Bruce are actually close because Kelly did say, like, Bruce said I'm his number one, but I don't know if I believe him. So that might just be something that Bruce said.
That's true, but I would say, like, I guess she's good with the women and she's good with the men. If someone was telling you that you're their number one, even if you don't believe it, I would say, like, huh, if you don't hear them telling that to other people, you might be like they're a little bit more trustworthy compared to let me go with someone who has never made a deal with me, never told me, like, oh, we're number ones or let's be women strong or whatever. I'd be a little bit wary, yes, but it could be a good option if they trust you. You don't necessarily have to trust them, but you just want them to trust you.
Yeah, so I think it'll be interesting to see how that relationship plays out just because I want to know.
Lots of new information we got about relationships that we didn't know about. So we go to New Blue, and it is the 2-2-1 with Kendra and Brando OGs versus Austin and Drew OGs. Emily is in the middle here. And here, Emily's probably going to be safe if they go to tribal council. For Kendra Brando versus Austin Drew, you're not going to just vote out Emily as an, consensus, easy vote, because then it becomes down to a 2v2 where Austin and Drew probably win because they've got more advantages than Kendra and Brando. But like, why would you want to play your idol and make it a 2v2 next time when you can try to bring Emily in and then get the numbers advantage? And then if you keep losing, just vote Emily out.
Yeah, I do think it's interesting because Austin and Drew are like, oh, we're so stacked. But whenever someone has as many advantages as Austin and Drew do, that's when I start to be like, you're going to start playing a messier game because you feel like you have so much and no one can touch you. So I feel like it's going to be interesting to see how they navigate that and whether or not they're able to still be strategic, even though they have like so many safety nets and might be playing a little bit more aggressively than they might otherwise.
I hope we see it. I think we could use some nice, aggressive, fun gameplay. People willing to go balls to the wall, go ham here. I thought this was cute to see Emily getting to know people. She's talking about how much Caleb has taught her, how she's not going to be like the day one Emily, but she's trying to be friendly and chill. This is her clean slate. She's told the new blue team about Sabaya's idol and her getting voted out with the idol last week. And I thought this was interesting because Drew said in confessional, yeah, Emily was built up to be this like mean lady, but she's very normal. So it's like all of those Matt Chat perceptions of Emily probably make it come off that she is, some kind of way. And they're like, oh, getting to know her is different.
I do think that it's good that Emily was very intentional about being the new Emily, though, just
Mm-hmm.
because I think she could have very easily been someone who aligned with the Matt Chat perceptions of herself. So I think she did a really good job here with the way she was meeting the new people.
I agree. Good on Emily for like switching it up after day one. And she has reined in that energy and like strategic energy. And like she said, yeah, I'll be, chill, friendly, getting to know people now. And once I get to know them, then I'll bring out the more strategic side. And it does seem like Emily likes Drew and Austin maybe more. We never really saw Emily talk with Kendra and Brando this episode, but maybe if they do go to tribal, it's more of a flip in the middle for Emily. But from this episode, seems like she's leaning towards Drew and Austin, which I do think is a good choice because similar to like Bruce and Jake maybe having more power on New Yellow, it feels like Drew and Austin here have more power than the Kendra Brando duo.
I feel like they definitely do. It feels like they also are probably more likely to grab Emily to their side. So I would like to see more from Kendra and Brando. I feel like we kind of did not get as much of them this time.
And I do wonder if Emily is leaning towards the Drew Austin duo, if like Caleb told Emily about Drew and the tribe raid, and hey, I gave Drew this advantage if we have a tribe swap or if you talk with him or something, or like come merge, maybe we can work with Drew. I wonder if Caleb told Emily or tipped her off in some way about that, that hey, yeah, talk to this person, and maybe that's why she's leaning towards the Drew and Austin pair here.
Yeah. So I really wish that we had gotten more of this tribe dynamic, and I get that because they didn't go to tribal, that's probably why we didn't get as much of them, but I'm still like, I want to know more.
Next time. So we see New Red. This is a 4v1 with J Maya, Seafood, Julie, D as OGs, and then Sean as the odd person out. Honestly, here I was like, maybe it's not just going to be Reba Strong. There are cracks here. Like we've seen Julie and Dee not really align with Sifu. We've seen Julie and Dee, Austin and Drew create a foursome where Jay Maya and Sifu are on the outs. So I feel like just looking at these numbers, it's not like, oh yeah, it's a 4 versus 1, similar to like 4v1 with Caleb's new team. I don't think here it's so clear cut. Yeah, Sean is going to be the person voted out.
Yeah, I do. I'm kind of frustrated with Sean's quit just because I feel like seeing whether or not he had been voted out legitimately would have like given really great insight into tribe dynamics and stuff like that. And I'm curious next week whether or not they're going to show or if they're going to say that Sean quit or if they're just going to say that he was voted out, because I feel like that could affect the game long term. Like if you are someone who's on like a 4v1 in a tribe and the other tribe did the easy 4v1 vote out, like that's going to have ramifications for you. If you learn that Sean quit and that he wasn't actually voted out, then maybe that changes the way that you perceive the foursome. And I feel like there's just so much that I wish we had gotten more of before. Like, if you are going to quit, I feel like you should just quit as soon as you want to quit and not wait until tribal council to do it. Just because, like, this is twice now that that's happened this season. And I'm like, bro.
I agree. I think like quitting at tribal and or like asking to be voted out at tribal is selfish because you mess up everyone's plans. If you quit on your own terms at camp, then people still have the opportunity to strategize. They could do what's best for them, game move wise. If Sean wasn't going to be the person here and you basically force everyone's hand to vote you out at tribal, you're basically screwing over other people's plans because maybe they didn't want or weren't going to vote you out. They've already had these conversations about flipping on Sifu, that going into future, it's like, yeah, actually retract everything that we said because this person made us vote for them at tribal council. But I feel like, yeah, when we get to tribal council, we can talk about it. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like here it's just a bad, rough episode. We also see Julie, Dee, and Sifu go through Sean's bag. And then I thought this was funny because we see them retying the bag the same way that Sean had tied the bag.
Yeah, I generally don't like it when people go through other people's bags. Like, I get that it's technically allowable in the premise of the game, but it feels icky to me. I didn't like this whole segment.
Oh, interesting. I feel like for me, it's like, okay, whatever. It's part of the game, kind of like if you're not smart enough to hide your stuff not in your bag, then you sort of deserve to get it found out because it's such a big thing we've seen in multiple seasons of going through the bag. Like you don't really have that expectation of privacy for your stuff that you would have in your real life. If someone in real life went through your stuff, you would be really pissed off.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I know that it's different because it's a game, but it still kind of like icks me a little bit. So
Definitely. So we also see here Jay, Maya, and Sean bonding, which RIP. This is like the first time we're seeing more of Jay Maya in the episode, and she's trying to create this new alliance. And then he leaves. Bye bye.
yeah, I felt bad for Jay Maya because this whole episode was basically just her being like, I think we should keep Sean. And then Dee and Mama Julie being like, I'm not sure that's a good idea. And then like them being right basically because they end up voting out John anyway. So I felt bad for her that her like one moment in the sun was kind of to look a little bit like a fool.
So we get to the immunity challenge. It's a swimming to a cage. You get the cage to the sand, and then you have to shoot balls into the basket. Caleb shooting the baskets. He wins it for yellow. I thought this was very cute, them winning for the first time. Yay. People are definitely probably noticing how good Caleb is at challenges because, like, when Lulu won the one reward that they won, it was basically Caleb, winning it, shooting the rings for them. Here, Caleb shooting the baskets wins it for the team. People are probably noticing.
Yeah, I feel like people must definitely be noticing Caleb challenge threat question mark. So I feel like it's difficult because he was on the suckiest team. So it might be like, oh, I'm not that much of a threat. My team sucks. So I just look better compared to them now that he's on like a better team. So
Can't be so good at all of the like little ring toss, basketball, sports. But Austin and Sifu are shooting for the other two tribes. They both get two baskets, 2v2. Then Austin wins it. And I thought this was cute as well for Emily. She's literally like breaking down their first, like, this is Caleb and Emily's first win.
yeah, it was so like Emily just started sobbing, and I was like, oh, it's so sad that it took them so long to win. But I felt really bad for Sean in this moment as the only one who has not experienced a win, never got to experience a win before getting voted out.
So yeah, Red loses here and sort of bummed though, because I feel like this could have had the potential to be an interesting tribal council. Like, was Sean going to be voted out or was Sifu going to be voted out and Red Team was going to flip on one of their own? Because we're seeing the women of Julie, J Maya, and D all talking, where Julie wants to vote Sean out because of tribe strength, talking about Sifu basically carried that cage for us. We need him for the challenges. J Maya is like, nah, we want to vote Sifu out because maybe he has an idol he's going to flip on us come the merge. D, we see maybe wanting to vote Sifu too. But I feel like here, Julie's reasoning for wanting to vote Sean out and keep Sifu makes sense based off of this tribe strength, because for Julie, like, okay, as the oldest woman, these tribes are so small. If you vote out Sifu and you continue to lose the challenges, sure, maybe like you vote out Sean next time and you're down to the 3 women, but yeah, like she says, I think main goal number 1, you want to keep the tribe strong, because if it gets down to your tribe is weak, people might want to just vote you out because you're the oldest woman on the team.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting because J Maya was kind of like, if we vote Sifu out and we lose again, then we can just vote out Sean. So it felt very much like she had kind of a response to that worry, but yeah.
Yeah, I agree here with Julie. Like, your physical capabilities and the perception of your physicality compared to the other people. It's like D, I feel like, comes off as a very strong competitor in challenges, so she probably wouldn't be the first one to go out of the women. And then you're down to Jay versus Julie, where if you're in Julie's shoes as the oldest person on the team, the oldest woman on the season, I'd be a little bit nervous in that spot because that's an easy just thing. Like, yeah, she is older and she's less strong. Let's vote her out.
Yeah. So I do think it would be interesting because I think Julie does have such a great social game that I'm not sure she would get voted out, but it's still a good thing to be aware of.
I do like how she's thinking further ahead. So it's not just like, yeah, I don't like this person, let's vote them out. But okay, even if I don't really like them or trust them, I need them for tribe strength.
Mm-hmm.
So here I thought it was funny. Sifu always just talks in third person. He's like, Sifu does this, Sifu does that. And it's sort of funny to listen to.
I kind of rolled my eyes because I was like, Sifu, just like, just say me, just say I. It doesn't make you sound cooler. It just makes you sound a little silly.
So we get to tribal council. It's like literally a normal tribal council. Everyone is talking about who they're voting for in their like discreet, roundabout ways kind of thing, all faking it. And then Jeff asks Sean what the game has meant to him. And it basically seems like, and from Exit Press too, like Sean made this decision in the moment kind of thing. Cause like with Hannah's quit, oh, you got some inklings of her struggling before the quit at the end of the episode. Here, it was like, it was normal until tribal council, and then Sean drops this bomb on everyone.
Yeah, it felt so out of the blue, especially because it did seem to me like he was going to make it through the spell. So it felt very out of the blue. It also was kind of confusing because Sean was like, my great adventure is like back home with my husband. And I'm like, you don't get voted out and then immediately get to go back home. Like, what's up with that?
That's why I was confused. Like, okay, Survivor is shorter now. Okay, maybe you're still quarantining. Maybe you're gone for a month and a half, right? But even if you're voted out here day 9, you still have to wait until the rest of the pre-merge happens, and you're going to go home in like a week. So what's the difference between, 1 week and 3 weeks? It just seems so weird that you'd want to leave and you're not even gone for that long from your family. I'm like, okay, for Big Brother, you're gone for 90, 100 days, and maybe you're sequestered 1 or 2 weeks before the show even starts. That's a long time for no contact. And like for people, maybe they have a sick family member or something back home, maybe that makes more sense. Or like you're pulled from the game because something happens back home and you have to leave the game for personal circumstance reasons. But it's like weird. Yeah. Like, oh, I've learned everything that I wanted to from Survivor. I need to go home now.
Yeah, it felt very strange. Felt very out of the blue.
Which also it feels like, okay, maybe he thinks he was on the bottom, and so this is like him falling on my own sword, but doing it in an honorable way, like Hannah did. Like, oh, I want you four to make it further. Like Hannah said, you four want to be here. I don't really want to be here. Vote me out. I don't want to take your dream away. He sort of like copied that and then changed it a little bit to get sort of like, I'm leaving on my own terms. But I guess, is that not like embarrassing? Wouldn't you rather just be voted out of the game rather than quitting?
Yeah, and it also just, again, kind of felt like if you knew you wanted to quit and you had this whole speech prepared, just do it earlier. Like, it almost felt like he was like hedging his bets to see whether or not it looked like he was going to go home. And
Mm.
then when it did look like he was going to go home, he was like, okay, I'll just quit so that I won't have to be embarrassed by voting out.
Which is weird because I would say it's more embarrassing to quit than like legit. You're playing the game, you played as hard as you could, and you were voted out fair and square, compared to, I think I'm going to lose. Let me save face and eject myself from this game. I don't know. It feels like a sore loser thing to do. Like, haha, I actually didn't lose the game. I took myself out of it. You couldn't vote me out and make me lose the game.
Yeah, I also think that it's worse to quit than to get voted out, but who knows?
So it is interesting what you said before. Like, will people talk about this as a quit? Will it be mentioned in the show next week? Because I guess technically he was voted out. They did vote kind of thing. But I feel like amongst camp and maybe on Matt chats that don't get shown next week, maybe it's said that he quits. Because I do think, like what you were saying, if it is, oh, we were 4 red strong and that's the impression, it might make like the 4 blue on the new Caleb team more wary of turning on one of their OGs because they're seeing how red is staying strong. But if it shows like, oh no, Sean actually quit, we maybe wanted to vote someone else out, and then maybe the OG other people feel more comfortable turning on their own.
Yeah, so it could really change the future of the game. So I do hope that it is more clear what happened.
And also, I feel like for me personally, if someone asks to be voted out at tribal council and it wasn't good for my game, I wouldn't vote them out just out of spite. I'd be like, no, we're using your vote here. You're a number with us. We are not letting you go. If you want to quit, you have to quit on your own terms back at camp, or like we're not voting you out. I just think it's so selfish to ask people to vote you out when it's going to F over and ruin other people's games here by voting you out when that wasn't the plan.
It also felt really strange that they all went up and voted because they didn't do that for Hannah's vote out.
Yeah. So maybe it was more like up in the air here compared to Hannah's vote out. And that's why, like in exit interviews, Sean says he voted for D because he didn't want to vote for Sifu and then accidentally give Sifu more votes. So Sifu got voted out over him.
Yeah, that would have been funny though.
But definitely, I think Sean quitting at tribal council ruins people's games here because the conversations about voting Sifu out have already happened. Dee went through and wrote Sifu's name down. Someone is going to be in hot water for this because Sifu is like, who wrote Sifu? In third person, he said that. Asked Sean while they're hugging, did you write my name down? And Sean said no. So Sifu in the preview for next week is mad, and so like it just causes this like tumbling of ripple effects that is negative for the other people because they had the conversations about voting Sifu out and it didn't come to fruition.
Yeah, so this is a whole mess. Next week, I feel like there's going to be a lot of fallout from this whole mess.
Which is one of the reasons why like non-elimination episodes sort of make me a little bit peeved with like the foreign versions of Survivor, because it's like you're going through all of these motions of who we're going to vote out. You have the conversations. Once you have the conversation, you can't really take it back. Like, haha, because it's a non-elim episode, I didn't actually mean it, but everyone's under the assumption they're voting someone out that night. That like I think it definitely stifles gameplay. And so here I think this is stifling them because they had these conversations, and next week maybe the three women team up and they can still vote Sifu out, but it's a lot harder because now maybe Sifu is tipped off to the fact that people are annoyed with him.
Yeah, so I agree. I wish that there was fewer like non-elimination episodes. I feel like whenever there's weird stuff that gets thrown in the mix, it's just not as fun.
I feel like this season thus far, it's giving Survivor South Africa season 6.
Yeah. Yeah.
Literally, like the first 3 episodes there are so wild. It's like this. So yeah, this past week I went to the Bryce and Wendell live show event in Washington, D.C. That was really, really cool. I was wearing a Jeff Probst shirt, and that was, a good buy. A lot of people gave compliments about the Jeff shirt, and Bruce was actually at the event, which was really cool. I would say, yeah, Bruce in real life, definitely very similar to Bruce on the TV.
Yeah. Rachel sent me the picture of her and Bruce, and I was like, wow, he's short. But, it was a
That's what
good
I'm
time,
like.
it sounds like.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, I'm not tall, but I feel like I have tall person energy. And maybe it's based off of like the TV distorting people's heights, but yeah, people are just shorter in person than on TV, I feel like.
Yeah, maybe it's all the sand that makes them look taller.
Yeah, so I'm excited for this upcoming week on Survivor season 45. I guess in 2 days now, since we're doing this on Monday, we only have to wait 2 days for episode 5. So I'm really excited. I am interested to see who's going to lose the next challenge because it does seem like the teams are pretty even. If this team loses again, do they vote Sifu out? Like, is there going to be drama and fallout because of the Sifu vote at tribal council? I want Caleb and Emily to stay safe and make it through to the merge.
Yeah, I just want some more juicy drama. I want some fun stuff to happen. But life hack is if you don't podcast until Monday, then it's a shorter wait for next Survivor. So
True. Less to wait, more instant gratification. So definitely let us know in the comments down below what you thought of this episode. Do you like Sean quitting or not like Sean quitting? What are your thoughts on his reasoning behind him wanting to remove himself from the game? Let us know what you think of the tribe swap, and